Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're wading into some pretty murky waters historical prize fighting. It's a sport that always seems to have this shadow hanging over it, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Secrecy, rumors, who got paid, who took a dive, who was maybe threatened. Getting to the real truth can be almost impossible sometimes.
It feels like it's just baked into the history, especially with the gambling side of things.
Exactly. High stakes, big money, and historically, connections to, well, let's just say, less than reputable figures. Match fixing, prearranging the outcome, it's always been the big fear.
We've seen scandals in other sports, of course, like the 1919 Black Sox in baseball. That's a famous one.
True, but boxing often carries this extra weight, maybe because of movies like The Harder They Fall, showing how careers could supposedly be completely manipulated.
Yeah, it feeds into this idea that the whole thing could be rotten. So when a whiff of scandal appears, it almost confirms people's worst suspicions.
Which is why reputation becomes paramount. Protecting the image, especially of a beloved champion, can sometimes feel more important than digging for uncomfortable truths.
And that really sets the stage for what we're digging into today.
It does. We're looking at a specific fight. Georges Carpentier versus battling Siki Paris, September 1922, World Light Heavyweight title.
Now here's the twist, and it's a fascinating one. Most people who've looked at this agree Siki actually won fair and square in the end. The real question, the mystery, is whether the fight was supposed to be fixed.
Right. Was there an arrangement for Siki to lose that he just decided not to follow through on? That's the heart of it.
To really get why this was so explosive, you need to picture these two guys. They were worlds apart. First, Georges Carpentier.
The champion. I mean, he wasn't just a boxer in France. He was practically royalty, a huge national idol.
Handsome, charming, seen as very sophisticated. Plus, a genuine war hero, an aviator in World War I, decorated with the Croix de Guerre, the Médaille Militaire.
He embodied French pride. He'd even fought Jack Dempsey for the heavyweight title in boxing's first ever $1 million gate. He was the guy.
Then you have the challenger battling Siki.
Siki was originally from Senegal, St. Louis, an African immigrant. And here's a key point. He was also a decorated French war veteran. Served bravely at Gallipoli, got the same medals as Carpentier, Croix de Guerre, Médaille Militaire.
But the way they were treated night and day, Siki faced absolutely brutal racial stereotyping. Just relentless.
Unbelievably so. His own manager, a guy named Charles Hellers, actually called Siki a scientific ape. It's shocking to hear now.
So Carpentier is the noble hero. Siki is reduced to this crude caricature.
Precisely. So imagine a title fight between them. It's loaded with social and political tension way beyond just sport. If Carpentier, this symbol of French honor, was caught up in a fix, well, you can see how damaging that would be.
The myth itself is on the line. Protecting that image might have been the top priority for the establishment.
Which brings us back to the alleged fix itself. What were the terms supposed to be?
Well, according to reports that came out later, it was pretty specific. Siki was meant to go down in the first round, then again in the second.
Okay.
Carpentier would then supposedly finish him off in the fourth. And for playing his part, Siki would get Carpentier's entire fight purse, 200,000 francs. Big money. The condition was, don't actually get hurt.
A nice payday for a bit of theater, essentially, if it had worked.
Right. And initially, it seems like it did start according to plan. Round one, Carpentier throws a punch, not even a massive one by accounts, and Siki drops to one knee.
Just like the script said.
Gets up, carries on. But then, round three arrives, and the whole thing just implodes.
What happened?
Carpentier lands a solid right, Siki goes down again, but this time, he bounces right back up, and he looks absolutely furious.
So the act was over.
Completely. The atmosphere just switched. Siki suddenly starts fighting with real anger, real aggression. He starts landing clean shots on Carpentier, hard shots.
He actually put Carpentier down in the third.
Yeah, Carpentier hit the canvas. He got up, but he looked shaken. Went back to his corner at the end of the round, apparently bleeding, and supposedly told his corner guys he'd broken knuckles in his right hand.
So the fight suddenly got very real and very ugly for the champion.
Totally. Siki just kept pressing, maybe smelling blood, maybe just enraged by the whole setup. Rounds 4 and 5 were apparently brutal, just pure aggression from Siki.
And Carpentier, the gentleman soldier.
That persona kind of crumbled. By the 6th round, he was exhausted, bleeding, frustrated. Reports say he started resorting to headbutts, even shouting racial slurs at Siki.
Wow. Desperate stuff.
Then came the finish. Siki lands another blow. Some say body, some say shin. It's a bit unclear, but Carpentier goes down hard. He looks finished. Broken nose, eyes swelling shut.
And the count starts.
That's the thing. The referee, Henri Bernstein, doesn't even start a count. He immediately steps in, waves his hands, and disqualifies Siki, declares Carpentier the winner.
What? On what grounds?
Nobody seemed to know. It looked completely arbitrary, like a last-ditch attempt to salvage the plan.
The crowd must have gone insane.
Oh, they did, instantly. Boos, jeers, shouts of Siki est le vainqueur, Siki's the winner, and fix, turkey. The place erupted.
I bet. You can't just blatantly disregard what everyone just saw.
Exactly. The outrage was so immediate and so intense that, remarkably, within about an hour, the officials actually reversed the decision.
They did.
Yeah. They overturned the referee. Battling Siki was officially declared the winner, the first African boxer to win a world title.
Incredible. So, justice prevailed in the moment, but the suspicion about the fix must have lingered.
Oh, absolutely. It never went away. And Siki himself, well, he didn't publicly confirm the arrangement right away. That came a bit later.
When did he speak out?
It was after the French Boxing Federation took his title away. They declared it forfeited because of some incident where Siki, acting as a second for another fighter, apparently hit the opponent's manager.
Ah, so losing the title prompted him to talk. Revenge, perhaps.
Seems like it. He basically blew the whistle. He named names. Carpentier's manager, François Descamps, his own manager, Hellers, and the referee, Bernstein, said they were all in on it.
He specifically accused his own manager.
Yeah, he apparently recounted confronting Hellers about it, saying something like, "You told me to take a dive?" He made it clear he felt cheated and was hitting back because they'd taken away his livelihood.
So you have the winner himself saying it was fixed, pointing fingers at everyone involved, plus the ref's bizarre actions. Seems pretty damning.
You'd think so, but the official investigation reached a very different conclusion.
Let me guess. Nothing to see here.
Pretty much. The French Boxing Federation conducted an inquiry, and in January 1923, they announced they were absolutely convinced the fight was not fixed beforehand. Case closed.
On what basis? How did they explain away the weirdness?
Well, their evidence seemed a bit thin, frankly. They relied a lot on a denial from another boxer named Georges Gaillard, who was somehow involved, and they made a big deal out of Siki not showing up to testify before their committee.
So they used his absence against him. Convenient.
Very. They even claimed they used, get this, deaf-mute lip-reading experts to watch film footage of the fight in corners, saying they found no evidence of any conspiracy talk.
Lip-reading experts?
Yeah.
Seriously, that sounds desperate, almost comical.
It really does sound like a classic whitewash, doesn't it? Trying to protect the sports image, and especially Carpentier's.
And Carpentier had a lot to protect. Plus, he was co-promoter of the fight, even part owner of the venue, the Velodrome.
Right. So offering Siki his winner's purse up front for an easy night's work, as he might have seen it, was maybe financially viable for him, especially if he thought the fix was guaranteed.
It could explain why Carpentier seemed maybe underprepared for a real fight. Perhaps he wasn't just overconfident in his skills, but overconfident that Siki would play along.
Makes sense. And this whole situation gives us a glimpse into how fixes might work or fail.
Yeah, it's not always about just taking a dive in a specific round, though that was the allegation here. Sometimes it's more subtle. You look at figures later on, like James Jimmy Napoli in the U.S.
How did he operate?
Well, his alleged method was sometimes about compromising officials, maybe judges or referees who owed gambling debts, to ensure an underdog got the decision on points, even if it was close. The Paddy DeMarco versus Jimmy Carter fight in '54 is often cited as an example. DeMarco was a big underdog.
So manipulate the scoring rather than the action itself.
Exactly. But in the Siki case, the accusation was much bigger managers, the star, the ref, all staging this whole thing. And the Federation seemed determined to ignore all that smoke, to declare there was no fire.
The focus was clearly on protecting Carpentier, the national hero. That image was incredibly powerful.
Hugely powerful. Remember, promoter Tex Rickard had even used Carpentier's war record back in the U.S. to contrast him with Jack Dempsey, who faced slacker accusations for not serving overseas. Carpentier was the good soldier.
And preserving French national honor seemed critical. You mentioned comparisons being drawn to things like the Dreyfus Affair.
Right, or that film Paths of Glory. Situations where the institution protects itself, covers up wrongdoing, rather than admit failure or corruption, especially when it involves someone seen as socially or racially inferior potentially exposing it.
And Carpentier's reputation largely survived this. It wasn't really until World War II that his image faced another serious challenge.
That's true. He ran a tavern in Paris during the Nazi occupation that was apparently popular with German officers, leading to accusations of collaboration.
But his WWI heroism kind of shielded him again, didn't it? He avoided the really harsh punishments some other collaborators faced after the war.
It seems his status as a war hero gave him a level of protection throughout his life. Siki, on the other hand, his story after the win is just tragic.
Utterly tragic. Winning the title almost seemed to make him a bigger target. Wasn't he banned from fighting in Britain?
Yeah, by Winston Churchill, who was Home Secretary at the time. Churchill cited the potential for public disorder, the unsettling effect of interracial contests across the empire. Basically, a black man beating a white champion was seen as dangerous.
Unbelievable. So he loses opportunities, then he loses the title not long after.
And things just spiraled. Reports suggest heavy drinking, instability, and then just 3 years after winning the world title, he was found dead. Shot in the street in Hell's Kitchen, New York in 1925.
Such a brutal end, and it fed right back into that stereotype they'd pushed all along.
Exactly. The narrative became, see, child of the jungle, couldn't handle fame or civilization. It conveniently ignored the systemic racism and the likely trauma of his experiences.
But our understanding now is quite different, isn't it?
Thankfully, yes. Modern looks at Siki paint a much richer picture. He wasn't simple at all. He spoke multiple languages, French, Dutch, English. People who knew him described him as sensitive, intelligent. He actively pushed back against the racism he faced.
That scientific ape label was just dehumanizing propaganda, really.
Completely. And his story, his life, has actually resonated culturally. There's even been a jazz suite composed about him. He's being seen as a complex human being, not a caricature.
So that night in 1922, its ripples went far beyond boxing. Carpentier stayed the French icon.
While Siki, who actually won the fight but was arguably victimized by the system both before and after, became this symbol of resistance, particularly against colonialism, figures like Ho Chi Minh apparently saw him as an inspiration.
It really drives home that whatever Carpentier's skills were, and maybe Siki did get a bit lucky against a champion expecting an easy night, the fight was about so much more.
Absolutely. It exposed the fault lines of race, colonialism, and how easily ethics could be bent or broken in that era of prize fighting, especially when reputations and national pride were at stake.
So summing it up, we have this incredible moment where a supposed fix spectacularly falls apart in the ring, leading to a genuine historic upset.
Followed by an official investigation that many believe was a complete whitewash to protect the fallen hero.
Leaving us with this enduring mystery. Was it definitely a fix that Siki double-crossed? The evidence feels strong, but the official record denies it.
And perhaps the final thought to leave you with is this. Reflecting on everything we've discussed, all the accounts and the context, maybe the most successful fix that night wasn't the one Siki refused, but the one that cemented Carpentier as the saint and Siki as the savage in the public eye for so long. That narrative itself was powerfully rigged.